Hey baby, let's get you ready for school, okay? We have your crayons. Oh, we have your pencils. We have your notebook.
You, you're getting so tall.
Yeah, getting so big.
Wow. Wow. Look at your uniform. Are you all ready for school then?
Of course I'm ready, Grandma. I know my numbers. I know my shapes. Look, a hexagon. And here's a green tyrannosaurus leg. But Auntie,
Yes, baby?
what's the color of electricity?
Let's talk. Hi, and welcome back to Pocketbook Pediatrics. I'm Dr. Richland Brown, and as usual, I'm always so happy to have you here with me today. And we have another good one for you today. We're going to be talking about school readiness. And as grandmas and aunties and mummies and daddies, we always have high expectations for our kids when we're getting ready to send them out to school. We want them to have a really good performance. But it's important to talk about whether they're ready for school, because them having success or failure in these first years of school really can affect how your child is motivated, their overall well-being, and their future academic success. So we want to be sure that when we send them out, we've really given them the full setup to have good success from start to the last day of school when they get that diploma. So let's talk. Now, when we talk about school readiness as well, especially here in the Caribbean, we tend to be talking about, okay, what our child knows. They know their shapes, they know their colors, they know their numbers, they know all of their alphabet. But that really only speaks to one part of the development that we should be looking at to be sure that they're actually ready. There are actually 4 parts of development that we consider to be sure that they're ready for that new school environment. We talk about physical development, their language skills, their social and emotional development, and then the cognitive, that's the one that we think about most, their intelligence. But let's talk about each of these in turn, talk about some of the things that we need to be asking ourselves and asking our pediatricians as well, about our children to see, are they really ready to go off to school this year? So let's talk about it. Starting with their physical development. Now, when we talk about their physical development, we want to know, has our child been growing well? So when you go to that well visit with your pediatrician, have they been keeping up with their length or their height and their weight? Or have there been some problems? Has our child had any difficulty in how they move, in their mobility, or any illnesses that affect their mobility? We have to talk about whether they have any long-standing illnesses or genetic illnesses that may be contributing to any faltering or difficulties in their weight and height and their movement. So do they have heart disease, sickle cell anemia, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome? All of these in different ways can affect how our child is growing. And when we think about their growth, we have to think about how will they adapt to the different activities that will be asked of them in the classroom setting. And also, is the school prepared to receive my child if they have a disability? Is there wheelchair access? Is there another way that the school can come on board and help with the physical needs of my child? Other things to ask yourself as well is my child seeing and hearing well? So we need to assess their vision and their hearing. Now, in many countries, hearing assessment is mandatory at birth, but not in all countries. So if your child has not had their hearing assessed, or if they've had many ear infections or had to be on medications that may affect the hearing, it would be good to have the hearing assessed before your child goes off to school. And also for their vision, they may not be able to tell you that, things look a little blurry. So it would be good to see the ophthalmologist or the eye doctor just to have their eyes checked before they go out to school, because impairments in either their vision or their hearing will definitely affect their ability to acquire knowledge, because they wouldn't be able to get the information well, if they're not seeing or hearing well. And we also have to talk about sleep. Now, a child of this age going out to school needs anywhere between 8 to 12 hours of sleep. And we'll definitely talk about sleep in another episode. But for now, be sure that they're getting to bed at a good time and that you're trying to get them to bed at the same time each day and wake them up at the same time each day, even on weekends and holidays. It sets a good pattern for them to have good sleep hygiene. That's what we call it. And so that they're ready and alert and awake for classes tomorrow. Because a drowsy child definitely will not be learning very well. Now let's talk about their language skills. When we talk about language, again, we tend to think about, okay, these are the words my child knows and they're speaking in sentences. And again, that's very good. Their vocabulary acquisition is very important. But we also want to know, how well are they listening? How well are they understanding? Can they follow instructions that they're given? Can they understand how stories work? They may not be able to understand all the concepts in the story, but do they understand that it has a beginning, a middle, and an end? All of these are going to impact how they learn at school, because that's how we teach at this age as well, a lot through storytelling. So is it that your child may need a little more time at home with you learning these things, or are they good to go? They know all of these things, they're ready, they're very talkative. Now, these skills are very easily learned just through our interacting with our child, especially through things like storytelling, playing make-believe, and of course allowing them to tell their own stories too. So keep talking to them, keep developing this area so that they're well set up for that first day of school. Now let's talk about their social and emotional development. Now this is speaking to their interpersonal skills, how well they interact with other kids and now new adults in this new environment. Are your kids able to identify their emotions and express them? Can they tell you they're happy, they're sad, they're angry, they're afraid? Do they express all of those emotions, or are they not really able to identify those things yet? Can they separate well from you, or are they still very close to you or another caregiver that they're close to and not able to stay away from you for an extended period of time? Those speak a lot to their emotional readiness for this new step of school. Can they identify that their actions have an effect on somebody else? So can they show compassion, sensitivity? Can they share? All of these things are going to impact how they interact, how they learn, how they adapt to this new strange environment, the new strange adult giving them instructions. So we want to make sure that they're doing very well, or at least beginning to learn these things before we send them out to school. And of course, we want to talk about the cognitive. So all the things that our kids know, general knowledge, alphabet, shapes, sizes, colors, but also we want to know that they're beginning to learn things like sequences, or that something is bigger than something else, or learning patterns to things, or learning that, something is more than something else. These are all ways that they're going to be continuing to learn. So as they begin to pick up these things, you begin to see that they're picking these things, then that shows that, okay, they're definitely getting there, they're on their way, they are ready for that next step of beginning to pick up new knowledge in this way. So that's another part of their cognition that we're interested in as well. Now, as we say that cognition is very important, it's also important to say this, that in a study that was done in the United States, looking at the responses of kindergarten teachers, it was actually found that the language skills and the social and emotional skills were much more important than their cognitive skills in determining whether or not they had school failure. So we want to be sure that our kids are doing well in their language and that social and emotional development, to make sure that they're being set up for good success, even if they don't know all their colors or all their ABCs. That will come as they continue to integrate, because they need those skills to integrate, and that will come along as they integrate and begin to learn not only from their teachers but from their peers as well. A kid who is not well socially adapted and gets angry and doesn't know how to interact well with their peers is often a kid who will be isolated, is often a kid who will not be very interested in school and will then have academic failure. So we want to again make sure that we're giving them a good setup. Now, we've spoken a lot about the factors associated with the child, and one other factor we have to think about is things like chronic illnesses and medication. So, does your child have an illness for which they require medication throughout the day, or they require several visits to the doctor, or that affects their development? All of these things will have some impact on how they succeed in school and how they integrate well, because some medications make you drowsy. Some genetic illnesses affect your developmental ability, so your cognition is not equal to your age level at this time. So we have to think about all those things as well and talk to your pediatrician. You can have an open discussion about where your child is in all levels and if they think now is a good time to start school, or maybe hold back a little bit for some more skill acquisition now. We also have to think about those things that are outside of the child, things that may be protective or things that may be negative. Some of the negative factors that have been found to affect school readiness or to promote school failure, I should say, have been things like an unstable family environment where there's divorce in the home, where there's violence in the community or within the household itself, where there's a family member or caregiver who is having mental health or physical health issues. These are just a few of the negative factors that can affect your child. But then there are protective factors as well. And these are having a home that is stable, where the parents are married, having a mother who has a high level of intelligence, and then things outside of the child and home being the school. Is the school ready to receive your child, like we spoke about before? Are there programs in place to help with your child's particular need? Are there disability accesses if your child needs wheelchair access or otherwise? So you need to ask questions not only of your child, but of the school that you plan to enroll them in as well. Is this school ready to receive my child? Now, as we wrap things up, I want us to remember that every child is unique. So maybe this child is not as fast as their brother or sister, and I need to keep them home a little bit longer to make sure that they pick up in their language, or they're able to separate from me a little bit better before I send them out to school. Or maybe they're very fast. They're faster than their brother or sister, and they're ready to go right now. Remember that you're dealing with this child and this child's needs. So that's all for Pocketbook Pediatrics today. I hope that you have learned more about all the different areas that are important for assessing whether our child is ready for that first day of school. Factors that deal with the child and the things outside of the child as well. And remember, it's no rush to send them off to school. There's always time to get them a little bit more ready so that we know that they have the best setup for school success. If you've been enjoying your time at Pocket Pediatrics, please let us know in the comments down below. And of course, remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really look forward to seeing you the next time on Pocketbook Pediatrics. God bless.